Hello, people. Welcome and thank you for tuning in for our Bettery Hubs channel's professional series, Live Chats, your weekly dose of transformative business ideas and solutions, where we bring you business leaders, industry experts, and game changers who are making the difference and impact in their respective industries, locally and globally. So stay tuned and engage with us to learn how these leaders got to where they are today and discover their X factor. Now, I'm your host, Sakti, certified and qualified to bring you satisfaction, a whole lot of action with our guest speakers for the next 1 hour. Now, today I'm really thrilled, of our guest because he's one guest who always invokes a lot of old memories in my green days or in my military days. Our guest today is Mr. Suresh Nair, the Director and Executive Coach of Sales Management and Consultancy Private Limited. He was a military officer and served the Singapore Armed Forces for 27 years and was awarded the Commendation Medal in 2004. He has served various senior positions in the military, both in Army and overseas during his 27 years of service. And that's the reason why you will always notice me that I will call him by sir, nothing else but sir. It's an old habit and it's hard to die, And Suresh Nair's forte is coaching, leadership management, change management, and strategic planning. Suresh has conducted numerous leadership and management skills, coaching for performance and development, managing generations at workplace, visioning and strategic planning workshops, change management programs at government and corporate organizations. To date, Suresh has conducted workshops ranging from leadership programs, coaching programs, customized soft skill workshops at various levels over the past 13 years. Now, participants Suresh has trained ranges from CEOs, deputy CEOs, assistant CEOs, senior management, middle management managers, down to the supervisors and frontline staff. Now, he was also involved in a range of consultancy services for the last 14 years. Now, without any delays, let me bring upon Mr. Suresh Nair. Hi, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, Sakti. Pleasure indeed.
It's definitely great to have you, or on our live chat. And thank you so much to join us amidst your busy schedule. It's really an honor for us, sir.
Yep, it's an honor indeed. Thank you for the invite for this afternoon's talk, and I'm sure it'll be a wonderful exchanges that we'll have. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, sir. Definitely. Correct time to talk about leadership and change management, right?
Yeah,
definitely. Just to tell the viewers, nothing political here. Is all on business leadership, and
Right.
It will be revolving around business leadership and change management, of course. All right. So I was just telling the viewers that the reason why we're calling you sir, not Mr. Suresh Nair or Suresh, because of our connection in the military way before. So perhaps you can start by talking about yourself, and the journey behind your current success.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon to all the audience as well who is viewing this. It's indeed a pleasure and honor to be here. About the question about yourself and the journey behind the current success. The first thing is about asking yourself your purpose in life. That's to be. Okay, I think once we define the purpose in life, and you will know, and you'll be having the great determination of wanting to reach where you want. If you tell me the question about your current success, I think it's still a journey. It is never a destination to me because we are always learning. What drove me about myself is to the current success is I got rid of rules and regulations in my life. I didn't want to be binded. The playing field has to be opened up. And that's where you come out with your entrepreneurial spirit. And once you have of these too many rules and regulations, and ironically, coming from the military, okay, it somehow stifles. So that was one reason, if you can say, that that one motivating factor that I left. And today is about the journey is about being able to exercise what you really want and what matters to you. And I don't think anything can stop you from that. That's right. That is basically about myself. Being an ex-military officer has brought me a tremendous journey I had. And those things that I did in the military resonates with me very closely. And the traits, the leadership traits, the attitude, the motivation of how I commanded in the military has helped me today, honestly, today, to where I am. And you can take the uniform out. No? However, the military is still in you.
Yeah. So I just want to at this point of time show yourself and the viewers some pictures that I have. This was you know Mr. Suresh was Colonel Suresh when I was an officer, a young officer, excellent guy. And I insisted that we have some of his old photos, his younger days, and these are some of the photos. So, sir, anything about your journey, during your younger days, your leadership. In fact, I loved your article that you posted yesterday, and we will be definitely talking more about it, camouflage to corporate. But in terms of your journey, sir, looking at the photos, anything that you want to share in your younger days, your leadership journey.
Yeah, the younger days were always memorable days. They were very green and wet behind the ears. The 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 younger days was something of a leadership that I realized after about 7-8 years that wasn't the right leadership. I wrote that in my recent article that I posted over LinkedIn. The younger days, they were tough. They were tough. They were tough soldiers. There was no formal education that they had, so it was rough and tough. So it was very, very extremely autocratic style, extremely mission success, and thus the empathetic aspects of leadership wasn't very clear and wasn't there. Sadly. But at the end, to us, was we are very task oriented, and there's no budging. There's no time for collective discussions. There were no time for I would like to stick your opinion, but there was a time for us to get you going and to achieve mission success. So that was the time. The context was different. But I now, when I look back in my younger days, yes, I personally did well because I had a mix of soldiers, and that's why I became quite fluent in my Hokkien.
Wow.
Dealing with them, and you got to speak along a series of languages with them, and that portion of while we are successful, but whether the success was truly deep down satisfying, the experience. Yes, there were many times there was experience. Yes, we won all the awards and so on and so forth, but the journey that the soldiers that you led is something on hindsight, when I think back, I wouldn't do that same way. I wouldn't do it. It would be a different way. And they may say that because they were tough and rough and so on and so forth. But in my view, I disagree because it was extremely transactional, extremely. And that's where the soldiers, they did it because it was an order. It was an order, and they, yes sir, and they have to execute. Now at the end is the experience, whether they were happy, even though it's successful. So that was one my younger journey that, to a large extent, my regrets, but I've overcome it. But there are many things that went well because I was there with them, no matter what, how tough. So if you may say it's a very nice word, then it wasn't empathy, probably it was tough empathy. It was tough empathy. Yeah, right. So that was basically my journey over my younger days. I mean, the photographs brought back great memories. And at the age of 21, I was sent to the jungle as an instructor. There was a concrete jungle where we are now. But then that was a real jungle where it was serene and quiet. And there was a lot of reflection that we could do there. Though it's tough, the terrain, but we built great bonding while we were overseas. We miss home. We miss home. But it was a tremendous living to the wholesome aspects of living as a military officer in the jungles. It was quiet. The animals were all nice. Okay, they were all nice. Nature. I fell in love with the nature while doing the exercise.
Yes, I can definitely resonate to that. Most of the time when I'm outfield in the jungles, it's like, you start appreciating the small little things that I never appreciated, even from mom's cooking to using your toilet from home, your bed, everything becomes like, wow,
Everything, and then you should now appreciate your mom.
Yeah.
For what you've done for that, yeah. So you learned a lot from that at a very young age.
Yes.
Right. That's right.
And at this point, I would like to just share. So thank you so much, because when I was a young officer, I was, I will say, lucky to have your guidance. You were there. Then senior commander, and you have shared a lot of your experiences that I still remember. We had a the chats the last couple of days. I was still talking about some of those conversations, and I think that that's the key, right? Military leadership, when the seniors, or in fact, I think it's within the leadership fraternity where the seniors always share experiences, and that becomes very useful for the up and coming leaders. Your learning curve just shortens because you learn from others' experience.
Right.
So I'd like to personally thank you for all those that has come a long way to what I am today. So I want to take this platform and forum to thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So and how was your transition? How long were you in military, sir? At least close to 26 years.
It was 7 years. It was 27 years. I mean, I got enlisted in 1977.
That's when I was born.
yeah, you were born. Okay. And then I left in 2004. It was an extremely colorful tour I had. And I had the greatest opportunity, not just leading, instructing, or commanding NSFs. I had my journey, I had commanded the NSFs, the NS men who are outside working, coming back, and I was a training center commander. I commanded regulars, okay, and then I went through the field of instructional as well as command and staff. So it was a very colorful tour across, and then my overseas posting, I was in. They sent a duck like me to a country full of chicken in Taiwan. Yeah. So I went and I learned how to karaoke and kampe, but I learned about culture, and we got somehow an exposure to understand the culture of where we are operating, and to be sensitive to the culture of the people, and especially the old folks that were around the town, the village where we were operating, and up on the mountains. That was a great learning for me. I did not leave. I did not retire. I left before my time. And 2004, I put in my paper and decided to leave. I mean, there are many of them, especially the senior commanders, who wanted me to stay, but I was quite clear as to where I want to go. And this is where it calls for planning. You need to plan whatever, be it whether you're leaving an organization or you're transiting to another place, okay, or whether you're going to start. There is a need for planning. And my planning wasn't just 1 year, 2 years. It was 8 years. It was an 8 years plan. And I decided that I would leave in 2004. Now, there were a couple of things that got me into that. One was, it was a short runway for the military officers. We had to leave at 45.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it was case-to-case basis where you can go up to 48. So my point is, do I want to wait? And then what? What happens? So I rather go into the deep pool and struggle over the next 3-4 years and build myself up. And then here, as military officers, we got a lot of resilience and determination to pull through. So I left. The second reason I left was, like I said earlier, I needed to get out of this whole entire thing about being extremely, how do I put it right? It's very important how I put it right. Extremely compliant.
Okay.
Extremely compliant. And sometimes where logic doesn't make sense. See? And I wasn't someone, I'm not that I'm non-compliant, but I try to rationalize the reasons behind it. So over the years and in position, there are certain things I couldn't rationalize. So it's probably dawned on me that this is not a place that I should be henceforth. However, I will come back to help them, the SAF. So I decided to pull the plug. Okay. The third reason was, I'll be very honest. I'll be very honest and candid. There are great leaders in the SAF that I've gone through. There are great leaders that I worked with, and there are great leaders that I've been a subordinate to. Okay, and some of them were my subordinates and became superiors. But there was a tinge of sadness before I left. Was the values, where they were negotiated. And while they preach, they weren't practicing. And that was, to me, was sadness. Because SAF is known for their value base. SAF is still a very strong value based organization.
Yes.
However, it's not the organization. It's not the organization. It's that some of these leaders. So my point is, while they are young and they are upcoming, and if they negotiate the values, we are shortchanging the people of really what we are here. Okay, the very purpose of why we joined the military. Yes, money. I mean, if you say it's not money, I think that's bullshit. Okay, it is. However, there's a deeper sense of purpose of giving, defending, the love for the country, the love for the nation. That was something that, to me, was extremely important. And while we carry out the duties as a military officer, and here we say ourselves as officer and gentleman, I didn't think negotiating values, I think, is a sin. It's a sin to me. So that was the other reason that I said it's time to go. It's time to go. So I'm putting everything together, and the 8 years planning, I decided to take the plunge, and I was ready. I was ready to move out into the real world, okay, and open up happiness. There is one good exposure I had because I wasn't afraid to go to the real world. Was when I was a training center commander, and I was running the training center where they were all NS men. I had interaction with the NS men, the commanders, and all that, so I knew what it was to an extent, what's life out there. So that was great insights when you deal with NS men, and they are marvelous. They are marvelous, and that got me prepared. And I was ready to take the plunge, to move on. And all the leadership that that the organization has given to me, the nurturing, it is a fantastic organization. So I went, and I had a good closure. I started as a cadet in 1977. And I left officer cadet school in 2004. So it was a good closure. Yeah.
And so, being in the armed forces for 27 years, definitely you started an entrepreneurial road, and you decided, I want to be my own business owner. I want to start something on my own. And what inspired to do that? There are many other options out there for you.
Yeah, there were many options. There were many options. I had people calling me to come on board. Now, do I go back to another government organization? I'm not sure. Okay, or should I move on to the corporate world and work with a private organization? I wasn't too sure. But then the very fundamental thing that I left was because I wanted freedom. Freedom not to go wild, but freedom to exercise what you passionately want. So it's the freedom that I had, and I decided to start my company. Okay, and what drove me to move into where I am in terms of training and consultancy was the deep sense of connecting with humans. And that is something that I've learned in the SAF. These are some things that many of them, my subordinates and superiors, have mentioned to me. Those are my strengths. So I decided to leverage on that strength to move into a profession that will be able to touch hearts and minds. And training was one of it. Consultancy was the other one. And I decided to be my own boss because I'll get the freedom to do what I want to do.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
if I fail, it's my fault. But then I learn. And this particular profession allows me to learn. Okay, because that's a journey. And we know for a fact we will never, ever learn less. Okay, and the day you think you have learned everything, I think you have stopped learning.
Yes.
So that allowed me to move on. So I could exercise my mind, I could exercise my creativity juices. I can test it out, I can try it out. Okay, and there's this space which is a safe psychological space that I could, and that helped me to actually move forward to where I am today. And of course, the other one is I don't have any superiors to answer to. I mean, probably the only superior is probably the wife. Yeah, I mean, other than that, okay. But other than that, you have got that freedom to exercise.
Yeah.
With carrying the values that you have imbued, okay, and that resonates with you, right? Yeah.
Yes. I think definitely I would agree, because when I started my own entrepreneurial journey after leaving the forces, I realized that the biggest key was actually the control and the freedom for me to do things that I wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah, it's not about like what you say, going wild, just do whatever you want, but it's the creative side of things. I can do it and everything, and I do definitely resonate with that, sir. And so let's talk about sales management and consultancy. I think I remember there was a couple of years ago that we first met up, and I got your card. It's like, wow, sales management. So my first question would be, sir, why sales management?
Right. Okay, this is very interesting. I think I want to tell them all out there who's watching this is dream big. Dream big. So this cells that you see up there, the logo, okay, it has got meaning. I wanted to create a logo because there is an emotional attachment to it, and you believe in it. So if you look at the logo cells, it stands for continuous, evolving, leadership, learning systems. So if you look at the point that I was mentioning earlier, this is a very human-centric approach that I move on. This is my dream. And literally it came into my dream. Okay, this is not plucked out of anywhere. People say sales, is it a battery company or something like that? But I say no, it is continuous. We are continuously evolving. Today we need to evolve with the COVID that's going on and whatever we are facing around the world. Okay, whichever industry we are in, we are continuously evolving.
Yes.
The other L is learning. And we must continuously learn. And you must carry, because even if you are a boss, okay, you're a leader or you're a director, it doesn't matter. That's just a title. But
Yeah.
you are willing to learn. The next one is leadership. Being a director, you got to lead by example. And leadership is not just leaders being in corporate world or in the government or public service, but leaders in every level. Okay, parents are leaders. The older brother, older sisters are leaders. Okay, and there's everyone can be a leader. Like in the military, they say every soldier can be a leader.
Mm.
See, so it's leader. However, if you want to put all this together, you need to have the S, which I call systems. You got to put all this together in a systematic way with enough processes, okay, and uh, rules, regulations that you bind them all together. So if you look at it, it's continuous evolving leadership learning system, and that goes. If you look at cells, it's not the battery, okay, cells, but it's our human cells.
Okay.
It's red corpuscles. The red corpuscles that will give you oxygenation to move on, to live through. And on top of it, you notice that the four corpuscles that you see, the four red dots, okay, it is all come together with an S, which is systems.
Mm.
Okay. And the other one was a creativity touch to it is if you look at the logo very carefully, it is an S, which is Suresh. Okay. It is an N, which is Nair.
Mm.
Okay. And whatever direction you turn around, it will remain constant. So we must be prepared for change. So that was the story behind it. And it is basically, if there's two words, it's human being and human centric.
Right.
That's the story behind the songs. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's awesome, sir. I mean, the story and the thought process behind just your logo and your company itself. I think that's excellent. So much of thought process put in before clearly showing your values and your purpose of why the company is there for the first place. I think that's awesome. And so, what kind of services, or when you engage, what kind of services can we expect from?
Right. Right. The first thing is I'm no master of any fantastic, no master, but I have a forte that sales can provide to whoever individually or at organizational level. One is on leadership training that matters in the current situation and in the future. There are a lot of leadership gurus and a lot of books out there people can read. But the leadership programs that I and my team develop are relevant leadership modules, training, styles, and attributes. Driven a lot with up-to-date case studies. And that is not just underpinning knowledge that we give, but the program needs to be discussed at different perspectives. The other one is my greatest forte, coaching. I coach, coaching for performance, coaching for development, career transition of how you can move forward. So coaching is one I develop, I design with my team, and then we deliver, and we conduct coaching clinics on one-on-one coaching, and that is the other forte. The other program that we bring is on managing generations. How do you manage the different kinds of generations, and how do you get them together to work as one? Okay, that is tough. Okay, and you need to understand the characteristics of each generation to build a bridge so that they can move forward in unison. The one that I'm now doing the research that I'll be doing by the end of this year, I'll be able to is cross-cultural generation.
Hmm.
We have MNCs that has got the whole lot of different cultures in that organization. You can have from China, you can have from India, you can have from Philippines, you can have from Malaysia, and so on and so forth. There are many. While they are all in the organization, but they are also not in the organization. The reason is because they bring in their own very own culture. Now, on top of that, one is the different culture that you have, but they are also from different generation. So how do you marry this to get an organization really moving forward in a very cohesive and in a very synergistic way? Okay, that's the other program that I do, and I've got a team of great facilitators. Okay, they have got their own cup of tea, areas of presentation skills, areas of competency-based training, and areas of moving on to the tech training in terms of digitalization. Okay, and how do you facilitate in a virtual world? What are the things that you look out for? We also conduct, and we have actually come with a program with GovTech. How do you do storyboards and presentation for your bosses? Okay, and what is the intent that you will derive from your boss and translate that so that your bosses, your leaders, can go up there and present it. So that's the other one. It's very unique. The other one is I conduct a training on the habits, personal habits of how you can move that will be able to sustain. And finally, there's one on execution, the discipline of getting things done. Okay, it was a book that I converted it with permission, okay, of some things that are there that I felt that will go into the personal effectiveness domain. Okay, so these are main forte. And lastly, I do retreats, in a sense, strategic planning of visioning, about visioning, alignment of vision, mission, values, team charters, okay, to get the whole entire organization. But this is at strategic level, okay, with the CEO and his merry men. Okay. Yeah, these are my main forte of areas.
And so right now, who are your customer profile? You
Okay.
mostly work with MNCs or?
I've got both the government and corporate. I've done training with the. I mean, if you look at the government, I've gone back to SAF. Okay, SAF is one of my main clients. They engaged me as an executive coach. I conduct coaching and facilitation workshop for them and some of the other programs. I conduct mentoring workshop for them. SAF is one. The other one is I do training for People's Association. Okay, on some of the programs, I give talks to them as well for them. The other one I've done for Statboard, one, Gardens by the Bay, National Parks on leadership, and then I do for SG Pools, Singapore Pools. For the corporate side, of course, I've done recently for Wildlife Singapore on team dynamics. The other corporate, in terms of private, I've done training for Coca-Cola. I've done training for Shangri-La Group, Rasa Sentosa, and traders. I've done. I've gone over to overseas where I've done training for companies like Peri Peri, Nando's, Peri Peri Chicken. Okay, I've done training for Keppel both locally and overseas because Keppel has got a partnership in Qatar. I've done training. It's been a while. It was the last 2 years, 3 years, and then before that, I did training for Jet Airways in India. Okay, and I've done 2 trainings both in US and Perth, but that was particularly for the Air Force on leadership. Okay, and then I did training in Malaysia where I did training for Maxis Telco. These are some of the organizations that I've done training with some of my team, the trainers.
Right. And it's awesome. So, I mean, no matter how much the industries vary, but I think the basics of leadership still stays.
That's right. That's right.
The application portion of it. So, let's go into your niche, your forte, leadership. I think it's something that, like, since the early days when I've known you, as a young officer, I've seen a lot of passion when it comes to leadership. Whenever I talk to you about leadership, in fact, we just had a conversation that when I read your article on LinkedIn yesterday, I was just sharing with you, there's so much heart. So this is a topic that I believe that when it comes to leadership, it's the passion behind it that has brought you this far. The passion. So maybe to hear from you, sir, about leadership. Maybe we can talk about the camouflage to corporate. Your lessons and your experience that you actually apply.
Okay. Let's move on to, since we have got a focal point of from camouflage to corporate leader. That I just posted it yesterday, last night, in fact, and you read it. Yeah, that was quite fast that you read it. It was something that was from the heart. The first thing to me, there are many definitions about leadership. There are many definitions. There are many gurus out there writing on leadership. They are all great. They have done major research and so on and so forth. I define, firstly, leadership as one that I'm with you and not for you. What do I mean by that? If I am a leader and I'll give you an instruction, it is very clear that you will do it for me because of my position of a leader. But if you are effective leader, I don't think it's a case of I'm doing it for you, but rather I'm doing it with you. That means if you take, for example, like the SAF, okay, the soldiers want to be with you. They don't want to do it for you. Yeah. It is a very, very different level of emotional engagement as a leader. And they see it through and through that I want to be with you because I believe in you. I trust in you that we'll take this journey together. And I also know, and the person will also know, that a classic leader is someone who will hold the can, and if things go wrong, who will be there, right in front, and not become a David Copperfield who disappears. See? So that's one. Leadership to me is, we can say everything about leaders and leadership. I suppose this all you can get it from books. But to translate this into the real sense of leading people and what it takes. And that spurred me to write on that particular article from camouflage to corporate. And I chose the acronym on soldier. I think it fits well. And that one thing I use that soldier is because so that we can soldier through and through it together. If you look at that whole entire leadership, is the first thing a leader need to have is a shared vision. It is a waste of time, in my view, having this wonderful vision as a leader and having all this great philosophy when nobody buys in and nobody understands it. So this is important to be communicated, to discuss, and to be sparked, because that vision is what you see through your lenses. But you want that vision to be seen by everybody. And as a leader, you must be prepared. You must be prepared. That vision needs to be tweaked. As such, you have a collective conversation and you come up with a shared vision. It cannot be the CEO's vision alone. Okay. Moving on, there is a need to build a charter. Charter has an overarching, which there's a vision. But you must ask for yourself is the purpose of your organization, which is the mission. Why are we here? What's the description? And what's the purpose? That will define on what are the things that you need to focus on. The mission. And you need to have in your team values that everybody resonates. And the values, once you have these three, then you work out on areas of rules that you want to operate. And the rules must be something that there must be, that people must follow. If one do not follow the rules and a few of them do not follow the rules, what happens is, number one, they have not resonated with the values. Number two, your rules are useless. It doesn't work. So drop it. Okay. So rules gives governance. It brings a lot of governance. It brings a form of managing for the leader. Okay. With the rules and all that, there must be specific roles that you want them to play. Now, the roles are just not purely functional roles. We also need to put in other roles that you think can tap on their strength. Okay, and you have people who play the secondary roles that will help you to govern. And you see, when we have a gray area, these are the secondary roles that comes in. Because it's a gray area and people tend to say, this is not my responsibility and that's your responsibility. Then whose responsibility is? Obviously, it's the CEO's responsibility, but who's going to clear it? Or who's going to get it done? So the secondary role that you have takes that stand to come in to solve that gray areas collectively. Okay. And then we need to routinize certain things that we move. So it becomes habits. So the point is, leaders, you need to get your people to, one is to align to this and resonate to this. Or else we are just barking the wrong tree. We're just moving on and moving on and moving on, and such that we are not getting anywhere where we want to. Because our lenses that we see are all different. It is not focal and focused. So things that they do may not be what you want, but that's how they see the world. So until you get all of them to see the world together, and this is the picture that we see, then people are motivated. That is leader. That is a leader to me. And that's how we drive. And at the same time, the other one is leaders must dirty their hands. They must go down and feel the pulse and the heartbeat of their people. This is standard. People know. But the question is, this is common sense. People know. But then you know what's the saddest part is, the common sense is not common practice.
Yeah.
You see? So we all know. I mean, people say, we all know this, they are in the books, we all know this. But then, do you see that happening? So the leadership by example is pivotal to drive. When someone sees you there and doing it, they will go that extra mile for you. And they will see that at the end, as I was mentioning, I will be with you because I saw that. So no matter what, even in a crisis, I'll be there with you. That's important. That's leadership to me. That's leadership. Yeah. So that's basically in a nutshell what I feel is leadership and with you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And I got to really say that in my own experience, whether in SAF and whether it's in corporate life, running my own business, I really agree with the fact that leaders have to dirty their hands. It builds the confidence that in military we used to say, right, don't tell them to go, but tell them follow me.
Yeah.
And leader, when I was a young leader, then I was telling, but I'm a leader, I should tell them to go, at the younger days, when I was really being first exposed to that. So but I never realized that it was positional. I was never thinking that, I'm, because at that point of time, I'm a leader, I have my own platoon and we are learning, it's a journey. And I think during the SAF days, it was awesome because we were exposed so much, not only just theoretically, but practically, you're out there with your platoon. Right. And you face people, real people, and these guys, different walks of life. And when I went to corporate, I realized, yes, when you dirty your hands, you move forward, and we practice leadership by example, people start moving and do it like what you said. Is not for you. I mean, it's for you, or I would say it's actually with you, not for you.
Yeah.
They do it with you. So it becomes a case, and I think yes, that is my key lesson that I also say that I've learned along the years. And so, like for yourself, at this point in time, when you coach leaders out there, or when you talk to many leaders out there, do you personally feel, what are the key challenges that you think leaders have in aligning their people? Remember, there's one part we're talking about having the same lens. What are the maybe a common mistake or a challenge that leaders have from your experience?
One is one of the challenges that the leader have is, like I mentioned, is there wasn't a conversation that they had about shared vision. It was just a single vision. People can't catch up with that. People don't understand that. Number two is the transparency in communicating all the things that we want. The transparency is important because people get privy of information. Okay, and if it's only for your ears and not for the others, then there's a synergy problem. I'm not talking about the security aspects and all that stuff. Yeah, of course, the security aspects you can, but I think there must be transparency. Okay, the problem is the leaders tend to keep too much of this information and give wee bit by wee bit by wee bit and need to know basis. It becomes down the line, the spiral, they don't understand the intent picture. So when they do the spiraling down and lower down things, then their boss says this is not what big boss wants. So what big boss wants? Because you're not giving this information. There's not enough transparency. That's one of the challenges. Next, transformation. Okay, everybody wants to move transformation. The problem is when the head moves so fast, the tail can't catch up. Okay? So we need for leaders, which they hardly do, to go into a pit stop. There is a need for refueling. There is a need to de-stress. There's a need to take stock. People though, they just charge, okay, and then the back ones cannot catch up. You see, so when they cannot catch up, they are exhausted. So they say, okay, never mind, I just do what I need to be done. So it becomes lower down, very robotic. So you don't see productivity, you don't see creativity. The other one that leaders must stop, in my view, is to say everything is important and urgent.
Right.
If everything is important and urgent, then we should take out this word called waste of time from the dictionary. Okay. So if we say we are prioritizing, so what are the big rocks? What are the stones? What are the pebbles? What are the sand? We need to prioritize. If everything is important and urgent, then you find leaders will not be able to see the big picture. Okay. And that's where these are some of the challenges, because I feel that some of these challenges is because it is self-imposed. It's self-imposed. The next one is there is a need. The challenges, they said my people are not strong enough, are not good enough. They don't coach. They need to coach. They need to build up the competencies. They need to build up their capacities. Okay, and it's the job of the CEO. Okay. As such, leaders, I would advise, in order for your people to do well, to unleash their potential, it's time that they coach, so that these challenges you face will be slowly diminished, because they will take responsibility and ownership to see through. And thus, you will have more time to see at the big picture of things rather than micromanaging. When they micromanage too many things, these are challenges that they see they can't meet up to the bigger picture of things.
Mm.
So this is important. And last one is trust your people. Trust. Of course, trust is not something that we do it overnight. No, it takes time. But the question is about trusting is one thing, but how you want to get the speed of trust going up is character ethics. Is character ethics. The day your character ethics and your intent is clear, the speed of trust will go up. Because managing competencies and developing them to get the results is the easiest part. But if the character ethics, okay, and the intent is not clearly spelled out, and the characters are not shown, then you find challenges, and you tend to go on, my team is not good enough, my people are not good enough, and you created that. But if you can go on to a coach, if you unleash your potential, then you find that the trust will also move, because they say, yeah, okay, I'm more competent. Thus, you can allow me to run, okay, rather than pulling me back. Okay, so this challenges, yeah, if you want transformation.
Empowering your people and trusting them.
Yeah. I mean, if you want trust, if you want to empower, it comes with a series of things. Number one, the person is competent. Number one is there's credibility, there's a good track record, consistent, and of course your professional relationship and the orientation that the person has towards that I want to do well for the benefit of the company and not self. So if you get this, and the more you do this, you'll find that you can empower, okay, and you can trust them, and that comes under trustworthiness. Yeah.
Excellent. So we have a viewer, Jackie Lim. I mentioned him. Thanks Jackie for joining us. And you are. I was just talking to Mr. Suresh that you are one guy who's always there saying hi to the speaker, the guest, and myself. Thank you so much. And we have Paul Bala. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, yes, one of my PC and SAF boys, that's you, sir, and another colleague, yes, my colleague, and inspiration for me as a ranger as well. Thanks, Paul, for joining us, and always see you going for your runs with Ezekiel. So soon to catch up. Thank you so much for joining with us.
Yes, great.
Yeah, all the OCS.
Bansing. Hi to Bansing. And
yes.
Hi to Bala. Yeah, it's been a while. I've not seen Bala. Yeah.
So, we will move on. So, right now, I mean, the current COVID-19. What do you think are the importance of transformative leadership? And because of the current COVID-19 and the way ahead for the new normal, for leaders to take note of, especially business leaders.
Yeah. One, okay, to me, if I can look at this whole entire thing about transformation and to be able to fit into the COVID, the first, in my view, of being able to move into the new normal is to rewire ourselves. We need to rewire ourselves. We need to be very, very clear that this is real. Okay, and not kid ourselves that it's not going to happen. Okay, so there is a need, number one, to front this first, that this is real. Okay. Number two is to look back now on your very purpose of your industry. Okay, will the purpose change? Will the vision need to be changed? Will I now need to move on to dissect this whole entire thing and which part of it will fit into the new normal? What is we call it like the modus operandi? Okay, how we are going to move. So you find that systems, processes need to change. Okay. That's the other part. Okay. Number three is we need to look in the new normal about the mental health of our people. So there is a need for a lot more emotional quotient. There must need for a lot more emotional quotient that need to be engaged for your team to move into the new normal. Okay. Having now working from home, we must be able to adapt working remotely. So the business plan need to move into the platform of working remotely. As such, working remotely, you need to come up with the guidelines of how you're going to work remotely effectively. The next one is to be able to move a lot on empathetic leadership in the new normal, because people are apprehensive. There are a lot of uncertainties. It's volatile. Okay, so there is a need for, like you said, transformational style of leadership rather than transactional. Okay. So it has to be a lot more people-centric, and through the people-centric of transformational leadership that you achieve your results, rather than result-oriented. Okay, task-oriented rather. Okay, so these things are there. The next one is, because of the new normal, we human beings are social animals. So when you work remotely, and when you're cooped up in your house, or some of them I know in the workplace, because of business continuity, you need to have a lot more social interaction when opportunity arises, so that we become mentally sane and not madness. Okay, so people need that social opportunities need to be created in this transformation to the new normal, where you can gather, if possible, face to face, with the measures in place. It's nothing like me looking at you, Shaktiville, person,
Yes.
rather than having this whole entire thing on the screen. Yes, I can go by with that. However, how long can we go on?
Yeah.
Because it can be very draining. So we need to get out there, and interact. And then you find that a lot of things that they want to say. So you get actually information of how are they feeling and how they're going on. So you find that you notice that in the transformational of moving into the new normal, it's all about the human dynamics aspects. And of course, your business plan need to now, you got to start looking at platforms, technological enhancements. Okay, that will enhance your business plans. Okay, and we need to take opportunities. Okay, to seize this opportunity where actually you can develop a lot of other plans. Okay, this also gives you a classic opportunity to work worldwide in your business. Okay, and not just locally. Okay, so you need to go beyond the shop, and that's actually an opportunity that we need to seize in this COVID. So if this can be looked into, I think we are all good to go for the new normal, and one day it will be normal. The new normal, one day will be normal. But the first thing is to rewire that, to tell ourselves this is real.
Yes.
So these are some of my.
Yeah, and quite interestingly, I during my webinar, that I was sharing with you that I had yesterday about digital grid, right? Couple of years back when we were talking about digital transformation and digital disruption, right? A lot of people were worried about the technology, will jobs be lost and everything. But true enough, few months later, a couple of years later, a few months back now, the main disruption, like what you were saying, so it's connecting with people. That's become a new disruption. And digital technologies are helping us to connect, not as what used to be face to face, but and the best part, like what you said, yes, globalization has never been so easy with the technology we have today.
Right.
I mean, we can simply talk to somebody in US so long as he,
That's right.
we, and yes, I think
Yeah,
this,
and probably this globalization is also going to take another different view. It may not be even globalization in this new normal thing. So the reason is because not globalization is because people are going to be selfish.
mm,
The reason is because I do not want to do business with you because one border problem. Okay, I need to sustain my country. I need to look after my people. Okay, especially the resource rich and they're self-sufficient. So you find the word globalization will take a twist. So
yeah.
we need to move towards where we can interact the best passage we can to countries that will help us. Okay, and vice versa for them to come and do business with us. You see,
Yeah.
so globalization will take a very different stand.
So and right now, we just spoke about, you just shared about transformative leadership. What about the change management? Because one thing is, today we realized that, when we were talking about rewiring, definitely there'll be a lot of enhancement in terms of digital capabilities. But the question is, can the people, there might be a possibility that there will be a lot of resistance
Yes.
on the ground, where not resistance of, it's like I've been doing this for so many years and now, I need to. The whole idea is not only just resistance, but the importance of the people being able to catch up to the fast moving, because everything needs to move fast now.
Yes.
So in this case, how do you think leaders can take note of this portion of the change within their organizations?
Okay. This thing about moving into the new normal. Okay, is a change. Okay, post COVID, we're going into the new normal. We need to get out of our comfort zone. Okay, and change is going to be there. Okay, change is inevitable. We know that. I think we all know that. Change. Okay? The question now is you will have people in the change that you are going to start going into of categories of people who will be in denial. Okay, that means they say this is not real. Okay, and when they're in denial, okay, they are fixated. People who are in denial, they are maybe fixated is not the right word. Maybe they are cemented. Okay, and they are in denial because they will say it will not happen. They will give you all the things that will not happen. Now, this is one category of people. Then, like what you said, there is another category of people who are resistant. They will resist the change, but these resistant people can be changed if you convince them. But they are also rooted and fixated, but not cemented. Okay? The third category of people are explorers. They will go into the exploration stage with enough safety nets that are given to them. So when the safety nets are given to them, they are willing to jump onto the boat and row with you in the change. Okay? The fourth lot, which will fall under the category of Generation Y and Generation Z, can't wait to change. Okay?
Okay.
They are the ones who are committed to change because their drive is far more higher. They want to get out of this zone, okay, and meet competition head on. Okay, they are bright, they are intellect, okay, they are extremely tech savvy. The Gen Z, the Gen Y love technology. The Gen Z breathes technology every day. They breathe air and technology. So they are all raring to go in. And so the question now is, what kind of leadership style? You can't press on one type of transformational leader. So the ones in denial is a different leadership style.
Hmm.
There must be a leadership style to communicate, to influence, and rationalize, and what's in it for them. There is another leadership style for those who are in the resistant category. Okay, that you need to engage them. Okay, and to say again what's in it for them, but at a very different level.
Mm.
Okay? And both of them in this category requires individual consideration, because it is now me and you that I need to convince you to get out of the zone of denial or resistance. So there's an individual consideration of leadership style. Then you go into exploration. Okay, those who are in the exploration, all raring to go with the safety nets. What is the leadership style that you need to engage them? That leadership style is different. Okay, that leadership style, they are extremely excited the way you communicate,
Mm.
the way that you bring out your intellectual and your stimulation is so good. Okay, and you are a gifted motivator. Okay, of course, you are a gifted motivator, you must be genuine. Okay, so they are extremely pleased and they are good and they've got this assurance in a sense. And then what you notice is they will move up. They will move up to the next quadrant of commitment.
Mm.
So if you take the denial, resistance, and the ones that in exploration, there are three different leadership styles. Okay? Then you have this lot who are committed. High motivation, high drive, high determination, highly into moving forward. The difficult part here is to make sure that their motivation is kept alive.
Mm.
Because after a certain point of time, it goes plateau. Okay, so what there is a leadership style here is they love leaders who are stimulating. They love leaders who give them the broad play, and then they will become the actors. They will create themselves. And what is important here, so that your organization can be sustaining. Or else what happens, Satideo, is it goes up there, it plateaus, and what happens if it's a plateau? The tendency is they will come down.
Yep.
And we go through this cycle again of
Mm.
denial, resistance, exploration, and then coming up to commitment. So what we need to do is, while you have that, okay, up at the whole entire thing at commitment, is to push up further.
Mm.
To push up further for sustainment. So the curve must go up. So that calls for another transformational leadership style, which are of different nature. It must be stimulating. It must be very techno. Okay, a lot of more playing field. Okay, a lot of wild ideas. They get energized, and you find that the brilliance comes in, and that's where you sustain. Or else it will be just short term. Okay, and then we got to revisit again because the curve goes down again. So basically, when we say transformational leadership, yes, but in each of this transformational leadership has got certain components of styles,
Mm.
traits that you need to engage the different category of people in that change transition.
Okay.
That's what I see.
Definitely, sir. I mean, I personally, as a leader, I always have this challenge because not all of them are the same.
Right.
It makes sense. But the only question as a leader was always the question, what kind of leadership style I got to use, and that's another challenge, right? Like, and I think you said it rightly. It's every single one, the way you approach them, and the leadership style have to be different according to the situation. And yeah,
So
it's
leaders. So basically, leaders must be Superman.
yeah, dynamic.
Okay, and dynamic, and they must have a lot of energy. They themselves must be a classic example, full of energy. And you can have this if you have a shared vision, because everybody is on board.
That is one reason why when people ask me why do you keep running, I say because I got to keep my energy level high.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's true, sir. Yes, sir, we have yeah, hi Khalil, thank you so much.
Ram.
Yeah, so we remember we met up much. Yeah, and we have thanks Khalil for joining us,
Yeah.
and we have Iskandar Noor. Wow, he got a question for you, really long. Hi. Just to say, Iskandar was also a fellow officer. He was in the military together, and
Yeah.
Now, a question from Iskandar, all right, sir, good to see you looking younger and still passionate. So the good thing about you is that everybody sees that you have become younger. So I know out there, I think things are quite good for you in terms of you being happy with your passion and what you're doing.
Right.
So
Iskandar looks extremely young.
yeah. He decided to change his photo to keep himself young. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the question, sir. In the gig economy, which is on the rise, the notion of leaders leading large groups and companies is diminishing. Is there a difference leading in large and bulky organizations versus lean and agile, gig-driven businesses in the new economy?
Yeah. Okay. The large corporations, the large organization, I think is going to be very little. It's going to be very little. You are definitely going to have a lot more leaner organization. You're going to have a lot of this technology that's going to enhance operations. You are definitely going to work remotely with small units across the world and worldwide, and the leadership will be tougher in a sense because they are all over and they are leaner. I think in my view, I don't think you will be able to have agility, okay, and being nimble with a large organization. Okay, you need to get them to break into small groups and work in small operations worldwide, and remotely that will get your your business going up. Okay. The leadership aspect in this will be tougher in a sense that you need to be able to be communicating with them and keeping pace with them. So it is important for a leader, if you are going to go into the small groups, okay, in the gig economy and so on and so forth, to get good henchmen. The henchman that's operating in all these small areas must be very, very solid. Okay, who will give you good information of making decision as quickly, because the decision cycle will take a while. Okay, and culturally, leaders now must level up on their cultural intelligence aspects. Okay, so it is definitely going in smaller groups. That is how it's going to be, operating in small groups and not large groups. Now, I can only say that for the corporate. I can't say that for the government organizations. Okay, government organization will still be bulky. Okay, however, I think the government organization need to change basically in how they move people across the organization. So that's my view. So it's going to be agile and small units running big businesses,
Right, sir. Thanks, and I hope Iskandar that answers your question. In fact, I think he has highlighted it's more on entrepreneurship mindset and leadership. Yeah. So
It's within. So this is where you need to come up with good henchmen to run it and trust. Okay, so it becomes an intra that they will move your business forward for you and operating remotely.
And yes, sir. Thanks, Iskandar. Thank you for engaging us.
Thank you.
So we'll move on. I think one of my favorite questions to our guests is always about, failures are the best teachers. Are there any specific experiences that you have or, you've seen where, you found that, as a leader, or as a business leader, a failure has been something that a lesson that has been close to you?
Yeah. In the military, yes, there were a lot of failures, okay, which I learned, which I narrated earlier in my initial days about leadership and so on and so forth in the hearts and minds. Yeah, but now back into the business world. Yes, I had one of the biggest failure was when nothing against that particular country, nothing whatsoever. The biggest failure I had was when I started a company in India. That was the biggest failure. But it was the best learning I ever had. Why did I fail? It's because I didn't understand the culture of the business in that country and how Indians operate and their way of operating and their way of business. Okay, so I brought in my Singapore way, which was hopeless in that they didn't give a damn about it in a sense. Yeah, they complied, but then it took a long time for them to get back to me. Okay, so you find that that culture is different. So at the end, it was a heavy tuition fees I paid, a heavy tuition fees, but I learned. What did I learn from it? That if you want to go into a country and you want to start doing business, I think we need to do our homework, okay, of finding out the intricacies of business in that country, their culture. Okay. And if you want someone to run the business for you, you need to get someone, if let's say you are going to get someone from Singapore, that person need to know the intricacies of the country. Or you get someone from there who you can trust. Okay, trust is a very, very big word. It's a very big word. Okay, so this is something culturally you need to understand business culture. That was one of the biggest failure I ever had. The other one is I'm not going to change this that I have in me, that we tend to not trust until a point of time that the person proves that he can be trusted. I've always gone the other way around of trusting, and then down the road, then I don't trust you. Okay. But that has not changed. But now I'm thinking whether I should trust you or not trust you. But I suppose I need to go with my vibes, my intuition, to move in. If your vibes tells you there is something wrong, and this is intuition, then I think you should take a step back before you really fall very badly. So in my journey through, once I left the SAF and started this business, I trusted, and it failed. It failed because everything was dollars and cents. Everything was dollars and cents. The problem is the very purpose are shifted. So because of the very purpose have shifted, I failed. Because in partnership, I couldn't get it done.
Right.
So that because of values that were negotiated. So you trust, then after that, this thing happened. But it was a failure. So the question is, would you want to trust first and then not trust, or trust and then you continue trusting, or the other way around? I got no answer for that. I suppose only your intuition can tell you through a series of conversations and so on and so forth. So my biggest failure, like you asked me, was that when I started. But that doesn't stop me from going to India. There are great opportunities there. I think it's a wonderful country, lovely, highly intellectual, great business that you can produce. But just that I've learned now to be smarter. Okay, to be smarter.
And that's one thing that I've learned. Sometimes a lot of people don't take action because of the fear of failing first place.
Yeah.
And the best part of failures is that the lessons can be so good and so strong that the next time when we go back in, we are much smarter, much stronger, and in fact we make very clear decisions.
Right.
Because of the lessons itself.
This point about failures, I think is important while we learn. But I think it's more important that we don't commit the same mistake again. So there's a need. We can't go on and say, okay, let us fail and fail and fail and fail so that we learn and learn and learn. No. I don't think that should be the way. The way should be, okay, I failed, but I need to reflect. and then I got to start now conceptualizing how do I move forward. Okay, and then that's where we learn, and that's where we get better.
Right. Thanks. And sir, years to come, what do you want Suresh Nair to be remembered for? Your legacy.
As a good human being,
Okay.
yeah, I don't want to be remembered as sales management, director, executive coach. No, that's not what I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered that when someone goes up there to speak in their eulogy, okay, uh, I would just like to want them to say that he was a good human being. He cared for people, and he truly believed in the people, and he went the extra mile to help. It is about he gave more than he took. That is something that I will love that person. I won't be hearing it in the eulogy. It's something that I want to be remembered. That's the biggest gift I can get when I leave here.
And I always like to ask this question is because sometimes we are busy with so many stuff in business, in work, with family, with so many things. We're balancing so many things, and this is something that I always felt was important, even for myself. I realize sometimes that what am I actually really running for, and whenever I ask this question myself, I get a very clear picture of what is it I'm running for. So that's the reason I like to ask, industry experts like yourself. It is like what, and I always realize it is always about the it's about being human. It's about I've so far yet to hear anybody saying that I want to be remembered as a best director, the richest man. It's always about family, or it's about being somebody who makes a difference to people. And that's, thank you so much for that, sir. And any word of advice for our business leaders and our viewers, sir?
Yeah. Okay. Like I shared with you on one Sunday morning, right? Yeah.
Yes.
This is something that I went for a coaching course and I learned this, and it has been with me. I've been telling this to quite a number of friends. I even told my team then in India as well. Okay. I'm not sure whether they are in the audience listening or seeing. Okay. There are four things now I need to highlight. Number one, we need to have courage. We must be prepared to have courage. Okay. And be bold about it. There is always a risk. Okay. The day there's no risk is two things. You're dead or you're not doing anything. You're just keeping still. You're paralyzed. Okay. So there is risk. It's calculating the risk, but have the courage to go out there and try. Number one, courage. To all business people, okay, and even to all out there, even a non-business, even in life. The second one, I think we all need to have discipline, a self-discipline, that we are committed to the cause of our purpose. Okay, we should stop postponing or procrastinating. It is very typical. It's very typical for us to postpone and procrastinate. Sorry, there's a change. Saktivel, I don't see you. Yeah. Are we okay?
Yeah, we're okay.
Okay, right. My second point is about discipline. We should stop procrastinating. We should stop postponing. We can shift, but the day we continue to procrastinate, the day we continue to postpone, will be the day we will regret. I'll give you a classic example. If let's say now we want to exercise 3 times a week, just example, I think there are many out there who may be want to exercise. There is a purpose, right? I want to exercise because I want to do this. However, it's okay. I will do it tomorrow. Okay, and then we come up with all the lame excuse, and one of them they say, I think it's going to rain. Okay. We postpone.
Yeah.
And we continue to postpone and postpone and postpone, and then we realize we don't grow anymore vertically, but rather horizontally. Okay. So then we go back and we say, oh my God, I should have actually done my exercise. Now, that is procrastination. That is postponement. So in business and all that, have the courage to deep dive, discipline to move through. It can fail, doesn't matter. But at least you tried, you learn. The third one is in whatever position we are, no matter whether in business or whether you're the head of the family and with friends, humility. There is a need for us to have humility. We must be able to swallow our ego and transact and converse at the same level. And it's important sometimes to say, I am wrong. Okay? And not argue for the sake of ego. So humility is important. People remember people who had humility. That means you have done a good deed.
Yep.
Okay, and you're humble. No matter how high your position is, that humility is very important. The three things. Underbinding this whole entire three things is my final point is we should get away from the limiting beliefs. We should not limit our beliefs. We have got every talent, okay, every strength. We are never alone. I know I'm a Liverpool fan, but then, okay, that's right behind me here. Okay, right. But we are never alone. Okay, pardon to all the Manchester United fans and so on and so forth. Okay, but then my point is we are never alone. Okay, there should not be any limiting belief. There will always be someone to pull your hand up to move on. So we should get out of the limiting belief. You should get out of the comfort zone and move into the learning zone, and then spiral your way up. So these are my 4 things that I want to tell the people out there.
Well, thank you, sir. Can you hear me, sir? Is my mic on, right?
Yes, I am
Okay.
here.
Yeah. Apologies because I had a bit of cough, so I didn't want to disrupt when you were talking, so that's why I got myself out.
Okay.
Yeah, just yes, sir, the 3 beams is something that I will definitely remember. It was a Sunday morning, like what you said, and we were having a conversation about having a live chat, right? And suddenly, you shared with me these 3 beams, and I think immediately I was in a reflective mode. In fact, I took about half an hour to 20 minutes to even reply you in your WhatsApp. And you're asking me, are you still there? I say, yes, I'm already, in the reflective mode. So I think it's excellent sharing, especially, the 3 beams that you shared and whatever you have shared today. I mean, there's a lot of information, frankly. And I think what's more important is for us to take this information and come up with, to reflect and come up with implementation plans and everything. So thank you so much, sir, to always be there, to, be willing to come forward the moment, you are asked, sir, can you come down to share with us your knowledge? Thank you so much. And today was an excellent session, a lot of sharing. And, you also brought us back to your army days and, connecting the army leadership to the corporate leadership.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we will definitely catch up soon, sir, face to face, and have much more to talk.
Yeah, and thank you, truly from my heart. Thank you for this opportunity, Shaktivil. I really appreciate, and your partner Noor, for organizing this and hosting me. It's indeed a privilege. And to the audience out there who are watching this, something that you can take away and gain some good insights and reflection, and wish everyone there the very best. Okay, and stay happy. You're never alone, like I said. And important is learn to love yourself. while we love everybody out there, I think we all deserve one thing, to love ourselves, and we should. Let's bring the happiness index higher. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll catch up with you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Right.
Yes, we had an awesome session today with Mr. Suresh sharing so much on leadership. I personally, never cease to go into a reflective mode when I have conversations with him. And can you imagine with the amount of information? In fact, if you were thinking that I was distracted, I was not. I was writing loads and loads of notes that he was sharing because that's the cool thing, right? When I have live chats, I have experts and I have them sharing so many information. It's like so much things for me to take down and to reflect. So once again, thank you, Mr. Suresh, for sharing. And now, as I always say, no live chat is complete without you, the viewer. So thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me. And thank you for leaving your comments and the questions out there for our guests to answer. And even after this chat, please feel free to leave comments and feedback so we can do it better just for you. Now it's time to say goodbye. And remember, there was none before me and there will be none after me. So therefore, that makes me the one and only yours truly, Sakti. And see you next week and keep moving forward. See you.